Let me first say, 2025, I had a blessed and wonderful gardening year. Last year was my third year gardening. My second year of gardening was not the best. So, my third year, I bounced back better than ever, and we had bountiful harvest. Although I had a great gardening year in 2025, there are some things I'll be doing differently this year. These are the 10 things I plan to do differently with my garden in 2026. Number one, I plan to be intentional with my planting. When I say intentional with my planting, I want to plant things that will produce more than one crop. And I wanted to plant things that we eat. I'm going to give you an example of something that I don't want to plant this year. Cabbage. I like cabbage, but my family in general, we don't eat cabbage much. And cabbage is something I struggled with growing last year, especially with the pests. I battled with pests pretty badly, and I just feel like cabbage was not worth trying again this year, especially because my family don't really eat it much. And even for myself, I probably cook it maybe once every few months or so. So I just don't think it was worth it. Two, corn. So although my family, we love corn and it grew well, I grow in grow bags. And I grew the corn in the 15-gallon grow bags, which they take up a lot. They use a lot of soil, which can be costly. Even though I make my own soil, it still uses up a lot of soil. And with corn, you only get um, one ear of corn, maybe two. I only got one ear of corn and I grew maybe four in a bag. And out of the four that I grew in that bag, maybe only one was mostly pollinated. It still wasn't a full ear of corn, but it was mostly pollinated more than the others. The others were so spotty. So I just feel like that was not worth it at all. It took up a lot of soil and fertilizer, and we only got to really enjoy one ear of corn. And those are just a few things that I will not be planting this year. And like I said, I want to plant things that are going to give me a continuous crop throughout the year. And that's why instead of the cabbage, I'm going to try to grow broccoli. Now, even I'm going to grow the regular broccoli that will give one head and the sprouting broccoli. Now, I don't mind doing the broccoli because my family loves broccoli. And I can plant the broccoli in my green stalks. So I'll have space for it, and I'm going to be growing many different varieties of it. Number two, growing enough so I can preserve some of my harvest. I grew a lot last year, but it was just not enough. For example, tomatoes. I had 7 tomato plants. Only 5 of them grew well. 2 of them didn't grow so well. But 5 out of 5 tomato plants, we have had a lot of tomatoes. And actually, I had more than 5 tomato plants because I had some in the green stalk. They were cherry tomatoes. But my family loves tomatoes, so we ate tons of tomatoes raw off the vines, and we did not have enough to preserve to make tomato paste, tomato sauce, salsa, or anything. And I want to be able to have enough to preserve. So I will be planting probably double, if not triple, the tomatoes because I know that's something that my family loves and we enjoy. Also, greens. I grew quite a bit of different greens, collards, mustards. I grew kale, Swiss chard. We were eating radish greens, turnip greens. I grew quite a bit of them, a nice handful, and it still was not enough because we really like greens, especially my youngest daughter and myself. And so I'm going to grow more of those. Now, there are some things like zucchini and green beans. I'm not going to grow more of those because we had an abundance of those and we kind of got sick of them a little bit. But the tomatoes and grains, those are things, just examples of some things we'll be growing more of. All right. 3, I plan to be better equipped for the pests. Last year, them pests tore me up, y'all. They tore me up. And I grow a organic garden. And so I try to use everything organic. I use diatomaceous earth powder. I made my own neem oil by using the neem powder. My significant other actually had neem powder, and I converted it into the oil. I found a recipe to convert it into the oil, and then we diluted it to make it into the spray. It helped a little bit, but it didn't help enough. So this year, I went to use herbs and flowers to really handle those pests and animals. And that's why I'm growing a ton of green onions, shallots, leeks, and I'm trying my hand at marigolds again. And if I can't grow them from seed, then I will be purchasing them because I just want to try that instead of, powders and sprays and stuff. Okay, number 4. I want to really work towards using my own fertilizers and compost. And last year I used Dr. Earth's fertilizer, and it was a great fertilizer. But I did spend quite a bit purchasing it, and I had to keep getting it over and over and over and over again. And our ancestors didn't have all this stuff. They didn't have to purchase all of these fancy fertilizers and equipment and all this. They just used stuff that they had. And I remember my father, when he had his little garden, he planted fish heads under the ground where the tomatoes were, and we had luscious tomatoes. However, I can't do fish heads around here because I live right behind the woods, and the cats and the raccoons and stuff, they will. No, because I tried fish fertilizer and absolutely not. They ravaged my stuff. So I can't do that. But I saw someone use banana water, and she had luscious plants. So I want to find stuff to save money, which that's going to be one of my, that might be the next thing I'm talking about. But I want to use, stuff around the earth or stuff in our kitchen. I've started saving chicken bones to possibly make bone meal. I've never made my own bone meal, but I saw someone do that, and I want to try that. I'm also saving my own, saving kitchen scraps. Now, I did start a compost last year using kitchen scraps, leaves, and all that, and I had the bin and everything. But I think I wet it too much and it became bad compost, and I got discouraged. And I just stopped. But not this year. Because I want to become self-sufficient, and I want to move away from even buying from the stores. Because if the stores were to shut down, if there was a disaster and the stores were to shut down, let's say it was the end of the world, or not necessarily end of the world, but there was a major disaster where the store shut down, we couldn't even shop online, would your garden survive? Ask yourself that. Do you know how to make fertilizer and do things to still to the point where your garden would survive without having to go to the store to buy fertilizer and cow manure compost? I can't 100% say yes, I would survive without buying fertilizer. One year I even tried to make dandelion tea because that is a fertilizer that can be used. However, you have to know the right proportions and the right concoction, because I did burn my plants, which was discouraging. I know it works, but I just didn't do the right proportions. All right. So number 5, work smarter, not harder. Man, did I work harder last year. So last year, I make my own potting mix, and I started that last year. And so I buy cocoa core in the blocks, and you have to wet it and break it up. Y'all, why was we out there breaking up that cocoa core with my daughter's toy shovel and a mopping pole, the wooden stick mopping pole, out there breaking it up with that? Because I'm like, oh, I'm going to use what I got. I'm not going in the store to buy this stuff. How to buy a hoe and to buy the proper gardening tools. Yes, it's good to use what you have, but there are times where if you can go get the proper stuff, then go get it. I just talked about using what you have, but in that instance, we don't have to use a toy shovel and a wooden mopping pole to break up some dirt. We can go get an actual hoe and an actual large shovel to break up this dirt. Because we did not have the proper stuff, I was so tired doing that. I was so worn out doing that. And I had to do that many times, many days, many hours to get all those garden bags ready with that soil. And so that's why I say work harder. Work smarter. Work smarter, not harder. Also, in saying work smarter, not harder, I'm also talking about planning. If you plan properly, you won't have to go to the store so much to get supplies. So I guess that can go more into my next thing. But yeah, so planning when ordering garden supplies. And because I go to Lowe's for my garden supplies, and we kept having to go back so many times to the point where the employees knew who we were. They recognized us. I kid you not. I went to Lowe's probably 10 times, if not more than that, to get the same stuff back to back to back to back. Same few items. It may not have been that much, but it was close to it. And then even on Amazon, I was ordering the same stuff over and over again. And so this year, I need to sit down and really plan what all I'm going to need and gauge the amount that I'm going to need so I can order at once. And so that goes into my next thing. And that is number 6, being more organized. So being more organized. Last year, I was just not organized. I was not organized. And being more organized can help you to work smarter and not harder. It can help reduce your anxiety and being overwhelmed. There were many times that I was overwhelmed because I couldn't find things. I I couldn't find the proper tools that I needed. I couldn't find my seed trays. I couldn't find my gloves. I couldn't find things. Even this year when I went to start my seeds, I couldn't find my seed starting trays. I couldn't find the cords to my dome lids. And I'm like, where did I put this stuff? And I was like, I have got to do better this year. And it's just not even, I'm not even just trying to do better with my gardening. This is my entire life. I just have a problem with being organized. And I have really been working hard on being better in my entire life with being organized. And gardening is another part of my life that I want to be better with. I have also finally, I've organized my seeds. So all my seeds were just in a bag, like literally just a grocery bag. They were in Ziploc bags, little mini Ziploc bags, and I just threw them in a grocery bag. But I spent hours really organizing these seeds, and I'll be doing a video soon on how I organized my seeds. All right, number 7, being more conscious of spending for the garden. I failed a little bit with my seeds, buying my seeds. But I will say, for next year, and goes to anybody, when you're setting your budgets, you have to take into account the shipping fees. You have to take into account the shipping fees. I did not, when I set my budget for the seeds this year, I didn't take into account the shipping fees, because last year when I bought my seed, I bought them from a YouTube family, and the shipping was maybe $1.50. So I bought majority of my seeds from the YouTube family and a few seeds from the store. A few seeds from the thrift store, and the thrift store was pretty cheap. So was not really aware of all the shipping costs. This year I had my eye on some very exclusive varieties that I ended up finding out I couldn't find them many places but Etsy or a few other sites. And these sites, especially Etsy, the shipping cost is quite a bit. For Etsy, your seeds can be $1.29, and then your shipping is going to be $4.75. And if you have 4 different seeds on there, that's $4.75 or $4.25, whatever their shipping costs are, times however many seeds you have. And if your seed budget is $50, your shipping costs are $20. That leaves you with not much, And so I really take that into account. So I'll give myself some grace this year. I'll give myself some grace, and next year I'll really take into account the shipping costs. Okay. Number 8, pacing myself. That was a major problem for me. Last year, I was spending so many hours in the garden because I felt like there was so much that had to be done. Not I felt like, but there was so much that needed to be done. But I just felt like it all had to be done right now. Like, I got to do it now. I have to do it now. I got to get this in before this time. I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it. It got to the point where my significant other was having to beg me to take breaks, He was like, just take a break. And, I was working so hard to where I would be so tired. Not only was I working harder than I had to be, which made me tired, but I was also out there longer than I needed to be. And I was not taking the breaks. He was like, work for 30 minutes, take a break, then go back out there. So I started doing that. And so I would take my breaks every 30 minutes. And I'm just sitting there tapping my foot, and I'm just pacing back and forth. I'm like, oh, I got to get back out there. I got to do this. I got to do that. And when it's getting to that point, you got a problem. And it's just like, woosah. If it doesn't get done right now, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So this year, I plan to pace myself because I don't want to tire myself out. I don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to tire myself out. I do have a life outside of gardening. We all have lives outside of gardening. I have children. I have small children as well. And so I still have to take care of my family and my household. So, which leads me into the next thing, not letting gardening consume me. And I felt like I was doing that last year. I was letting gardening consume me. It's okay to step away. I was just simply doing too much, and gardening basically took over me. And I don't desire that this year. Do I love it? Yes. Am I doing it because I like to do it and because I want more healthy? I know where my food is coming from. I know what's going on to my food. It's helping my children to learn new skills. I'm tasting new varieties. It tastes good. I'm able to just seeing the fruits of my labor. Do I enjoy all of that? Yes, I do. But you still have to be mindful. You don't want it to become an unhealthy thing. It starts messing with your mental where you can't sleep because you're thinking about gardening. You wake up, you're thinking about gardening. You're dreaming about gardening. I got to the point where I was just dreaming about gardening. Like it was taking on my entire life, and I do not desire that. I do want to enjoy it, but I do not desire that. But last but not least, I plan to document my gardening journey. I did not get a journal last year. I will be getting a journal this year. And so, you guys, thank you for listening. If you stayed this whole entire time, you drop a comment down below and let me know what you plan to do differently this year. And make sure you like and subscribe.
Pull it.
He's just deleafing it.
Grab it. Pull it. Pull it. Yay!
What in the world?